Hello and welcome. I found some sample documents to take a look at. So for those of you who are visual learners, you're going to love this video. You actually get to see the documents or a sample of the kind of documents that you'll see once you take an order. Okay, so this first one is just, you're seeing the name of the make-believe title company and the customer and the comments. Down here below where it says comments, it might say notes and instructions, and it's just for the notary to read and to be sure that they don't have any questions before they head out to the signing. If you get your documents on time, that is. So here's a contact number for a person if you have any questions during the signing. Now, on the second page, you'll see that they have boxed some things in red ink. So we're going to read and go over those. Okay. So it says questions before, during, or after the appointment, call this number, and the documents must be dropped for delivery tomorrow. So if the documents are usually returned by FedEx or UPS. And so know where your locations are and what time they close. Here in town, I have one that I know that closes, the last shipment goes out at 4:00 p.m. And if I miss that one, I know there's another one across town that goes out. The latest shipment is 7 p.m. So I usually am able to get my documents off. I rarely take anything past that time. So I'm able to ship the same day most of the time. Okay, the next one says copy of the signer's photo ID. So when I make the confirmation call, I'll ask the signers to go ahead and make a copy of their IDs. I usually require my signers to have two forms of ID because I'm never sure how many the Patriot Act is going to ask for. Some Patriot Acts ask for one form of ID, some ask for two. So I would rather have them over prepared than under. And to go ahead and print a copy if they have access to a printer. Now, if they don't have access to a printer, I'll inform them that I can take a picture using my phone and I can upload it to the website or to the app, whichever one is applicable. Okay, so this one is saying if there's no label, call this number. Sometimes they forget to include the FedEx or UPS label. This one is this box is the fee agreement loan signing, how much you're going to get paid, and if you have any questions, contact us before calling any other parties. All right. Some more closing instructions. Dress in business or business casual attire. I have a video coming up on that about some things you can do. You don't have to spend a lot of money to look nice. And the next box says 2 copies of the documents to the closing. So they want you to make copies, one for the lender, one to be executed or signed and sent back to the lender, and then one set of documents to leave with the signers. And sometimes, rarely, you'll get one that says you don't have to make copies because the title company is going to send them a PDF or something. But usually, most of the time, you'll be making 2 copies. Okay, this one says, at the closing, please use blue ink when signing the papers. And that's most of the time. They want you to use blue ink. I know one thing, when I used to work in archives, you could tell the original from a copy whenever you use blue ink. So that might be one of the reasons. Truth in lending statement must be initialed at the bottom right-hand corner, but not in the margin. Oh, these papers are outdated. I don't think there's a truth in lending statement anymore. I think it's called something else now. But if they need initials, be sure to watch for that in the bottom right-hand corner. Some documents still require that. At the bottom, it says to pay attention to the pay plan enrollment authorization. That's for people who want to have their payments automatically deducted. That is usually optional. And then the next one says you're required to fax critical funding documents. Sometimes when you have scan backs, they'll say fax backs or scan backs. They will usually ask for the entire all the closing documents, and then sometimes they'll just ask for certain documents. But to me, it's just easier to just do the whole thing than to dig through and try to find certain papers. but just give them what they asked for. Okay, so the next thing, here come the documents. First one that needs to be presented is the money. You need to always go over the closing costs before you do anything, because the customers may not be willing to sign if they don't agree with the numbers. So here is the closing disclosure. This is a very important, critical document, like it says right here. So here's the loan terms. This one says the appraised property value, and the loan amount right here is for $205,631 on this example. And there's the interest rate, the monthly principal and interest. And then here's the principal and interest plus escrow equals, this is your monthly payment for years 1 through 4. And then on the 5th year, the payment will go down to $944.04. And then on the very bottom line is the cash to close. Now, whenever you want to know whether or not the borrower needs to give you a check at the appointment, it says look at the previous line, 303, and that's on the settler statement, the settlement statement. But if you ever want to know if they need to write a check, then you look at this line right here, cash to close, $2,666.92 from or to the borrower. In this case, it says from the borrower. Now, for this amount, usually the instructions will say anything over a certain amount, maybe over $1,500, you need to send a wire. And usually under $1,500, they'll say you can write a check out to the title company, usually. But look at your instructions to be sure and follow them. Okay, and the closing disclosure is usually about 5 pages long. So here's some closing cost details and other costs. This is how everything is broken down. Now on page 3, this is the payoff amount to the previous lien holder. They're going to pay that off. And then this is calculating cash to close. This is the estimate, and this is the final. So it was estimated that they would owe $24,000 to the borrower, but the final says they owe $2,666 to the borrower. It says to the borrower, but on the previous page, I think it said from the borrower. Okay, that's okay. It's just probably an error. And there's another error I saw in here too. Everybody makes errors, but usually it's from the borrower. If cash is going to the borrower, that's usually a home equity loan, or maybe once I've seen a purchase that had money going back to the borrower. Nevertheless, I'll go to this page and I'll just say contact information. This is your lender's contact information, their contact person's name, and their email and phone number. The settlement agent, that's your title company. This is their contact person's name and her email and phone number. And then please sign below. So it goes really fast and quick. I just slowed down to show you some things, but it's really quick to present this. And then they've probably already seen it because they've had an email. They've been in contact with the title company. So that was a closing disclosure. Now the settlement statement. This is also a critical document. So you'll see the final numbers on this statement. And these numbers usually look very familiar to the borrower. It's very similar. Some of the same numbers are included on the closing disclosure, but as you can see here, the same amount is owed from the borrower. So that's a confirmation. And right here it says line 303 will tell you if the borrower needs to give the signing agent a check. So line 303, you need to collect this amount from the borrower. Okay. Here's some more fees on the settlement statement. And then they'll sign right there on page 2. And right here it says Stallworth title of Modesto settlement agent. Okay, that's not the notary. That's for the title company. So the notary does not sign the settlement statement or the closing disclosure. Addendum to HUD, have them sign that. I think this is a outdated form too. Okay. Okay. And then the notice of right to cancel. So on refinances, the signers have 3 business days to change their minds and cancel the whole thing. So right here at the top, you can see that this is the date of the signing appointment, March 13th, and the rescission date is March 16th. They have 3 business days. So they have till midnight on March 16th to cancel. And right here at the top right, it says each borrower must receive 2 executed copies. So you have them sign, each signer signs 3 copies. You send 1 back to the lender and leave 2 signed copies with them. And they sign down here at the bottom just to acknowledge that they have received 2 completed copies of the right to cancel. Now they only sign here inside the box if they actually wish to cancel and then mail it to this address. Most people do not cancel. So, okay, truth in lending, disclosure statement. I think this is outdated. Okay, and then the note. Okay, this is the most important document in the loan package, critical document. So on the note, number 1 describes, that's the lender. In the paragraph 2, that's the loan amount. It just says you promise to repay this amount. And then the interest rate, the interest rate is also on number 2. Okay. And then this is where they mail the payment to, and that's the principal and interest payment. It does not include the escrow, so that's why the amount is so low. But then I just tell them to sign the very last page. It's very easy and quick to present. You just tell them you promise to repay this amount. Here's your interest rate. Here's where you mail it, and then sign page 4, please. And right here, the word seal means signature. No notary seal used here. It doesn't need to be notarized. So you're going to see that a lot, seal, and it just usually means signature. Okay, the next one is the deed of trust. It's also a critical document. It's the security instrument and needs to be presented with the note, and it requires notarization. Okay, so the deed of trust is usually about 10 or 15 pages. It shows the name of the owner and the property address. Make sure all that is correct, and if so, he'll just sign the last page. So this one has 14 pages, so we'll go probably to about page 13 to look for his signature. And all of this is just standard. This is page 13 of the deed of trust, and this is where you'll ask the signer to sign his name as printed. And there again, you see seal, it just means signature. And then on the next page, well, in my state, we don't need witnesses. In Texas, we skip that part. Now, the next page is where the first notarization takes place in this packet. So this is telling, the little note here is saying the state and the county where the signing appointment takes place. So no matter what's written here, like for example, this one says the state of California. Well, since I'm in Texas, I will draw a line through that and initial it and write in Texas. And then I would put the county where I'm actually signing. Now, this is not the county where the property is located. So you may choose to sign in a different county. You may meet at a coffee shop or somewhere and it turns out it's in a different county. You put the county where you're actually signing, where the signing appointment takes place. Now on blank, they're looking for a date. Before me, blank. That's your name, the notary, personally appeared, and this is the name of the signer. So that's, you need to know that, because that most of the notarizations are printed as such. So on, they're looking for a date. Before me, that's the notary, personally appeared, and that's the name of the signer. Okay, and sometimes instead of personally appeared, it'll just say by. And then you drop down a little bit, and this is where your signature goes. And then you print your name, and then put your notary seal over there. And sometimes it'll ask for the expiration date of your commission, but follow the instructions. Okay, now this particular signing is a condominium rider, but this is a condominium rider. It's saying that it's a condominium. And then you'll have them sign that, the very last page. Okay, and then the next one is the occupancy and financial status affidavit. So on number one, that's the name of the lender and the property address. Number two says this is the principal residence. So the borrower will actually occupy the property. This is not their second home. This is not a piece of investment property, but it is their principal residence, and it's already been selected, already been checked. So they're going to sign saying that's true. Number three, your financial status has not changed since you filled out the application. Number four, you haven't made any false or misleading statements. And then you would sign page 2. And then this is where you would notarize. If you're not in California, again, you'll draw a line through that and initial it and put the county where you are actually, where the appointment is taking place. Right here it says before me on this blank day of blank. That's where you would put that day's date. Now this one says by, and then this is the signer. So it's going to either say by or personally appeared. And then you just sign it right there. And then put your seal. Make sure the wording matches the requirements of your state. If not, use a loose leaflet. And then this one is a signature affidavit. It's just saying that they need his signature over here. And these are all the variations. I'm also known as Richard William, Richard, Rick W, R W, Ricky, R Willie. And if that's him, he'll sign that variation over on this side. So after he signs all the variations of all those different names, they want him to sign all those different variations. Some people just go down and sign them all the same. If they do that and it matches their driver's license, I just let it go. It's never been sent back so far. And then down here is a place for you to notarize the state, county, that day's date, and your signature and stamp, if that or whatever is required by your state. Okay, then there's a limited power of attorney. All the spaces must be filled in because you don't want them to sign anything with blanks in it. As a notary public, you need to be sure that all the blanks are filled in. If they're not, you call the title company and ask them what goes there. And sometimes it will say intentionally left blank. Okay, then there's the signature there. It's easy to see. And then that there again is where you as a notary would need to notarize or acknowledge the statement. We'll acknowledge the signature. Okay, compliance agreement. This is saying that they will fully cooperate and work with the lender if there's any clerical or typographical errors, even after the signing is over, after the closing. It needs to be notarized again. Now this one, the state and the county on blank, they're looking for a date before me. They put the signer's name there. That's where the notary's name would go, before me, and then personally appeared, his name would go there. Okay, and then you would sign it and print your name and put your seal on it. Okay, this is the old Uniform Residential Loan application. Both borrowers would sign if they're applying for joint credit. Okay, and then right here at the very bottom, they want initials. If you see a line like this at the bottom, that means they're looking for initials. Okay, what we're looking for now is the acknowledgement section. So there's initials there. Okay, assets and liabilities, another set of initials, assets and liabilities, initials. Okay, let's keep going. Acknowledgement. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. It was in section 9 on this one. You would ask the borrowers to sign and date the acknowledgement. And then last but not least, well, there's another initial. And then last but not least, right here. Now, this application is old, but just to let you know what to look for. Look for initials and look for, on the new one, you only need the initials of the borrowers if they are applying for joint credit. And then you need that acknowledgement section to be signed and dated. Okay, the Patriot Act, USA Patriot Act. On this one right here, it says it needs 2 forms of identifying documents right there. Okay, so it can be your driver's license, ID card, foreign passport, military ID, resident alien card, social security, birth certificate, or other. Now, other could be up here. The government issued Visa, Medicare card, student identification card, voter registration, recent property tax or utility bill, most recent W-2 or signed federal or state tax return, bank statements, proof of car, house, or renter's insurance coverage. Okay, so any of those will do, but the one of them needs to have a picture ID. Okay, and sometimes on the second spouse they won't have a birthday, so look out for that. You can add that on your own. Okay, so on page 2 of the Patriot Act, add any additional comments. If there's not any, I just strike through. I draw a line to just strike through it instead of leaving it blank. Or you can write none or NA. And then you need the signature, date, and your printed name and title. Title should be signing agent. Okay, borrower certification and authorization. They certify that everything is true and correct, and they release the lender to go ahead and verify that their employment and their financial status. And then they would sign and date and put their social. Okay, the 4506T, this is requesting a transcript of their tax return. And so they'll look and make sure all their information is correct. And this part is very important. They would sign down here and date, put the phone number. The other spouse would sign if they're applying for joint credit. This is outdated. There's a box here now that says, I am authorized to sign this document. It's a little tiny box. Be sure to have that box checked. Don't just have them sign it, but make sure that box is either already checked by the lender or the signers. Okay, let's look at page 2. That's just instructions. W-9, they need to confirm that their social is accurate, and if so, sign down here below. And it's 5 pages usually, but it's just instructions. Okay, and then next. Oh, that's a HUD or VA addendum to the Uniform Residential Loan Application. I don't know if they use those anymore. I'm going to skip that. Let's keep going. Okay. Impound authorization, giving them permission to open an escrow account. Okay, he'll sign there. Servicing disclosure statement. I don't think they still do that anymore. Oh, if we intend to assign or sell. Okay, I think they do that. I just don't see it often. Okay. Okay. That was a loan estimate. Good faith estimate. I don't think they do that anymore. General closing instructions. The settlement agent, that's the loan, the title company. Specific closing instructions. Okay, just more fees. You should be familiar with by now. Let them sign page 3 or page 2, excuse me. Okay, the tax information sheet. You do not need to fill that out. Just keep going. And remember, you don't have to present anything that does not need to be signed. So keep going. Okay, I don't think they do that anymore. Positive proof identification and notary signature. Sometimes they'll have you to fill out the driver's license, like an ID form, a driver's license for the signers, and then you sign the bottom, very similar to the Patriot Act. Notary ID. It looks like they're asking for the notary's information. Sometimes they still do that. And this is for the state of Florida. Okay. And that's just information. And I think that's it, guys. I think we've just gone through a packet. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the documents. I just really wanted you to see what they look like and how to fill them out. I know some of you have never been notaries before. I had not been a notary before, and I had to learn how to fill in the notarizations at the bottom, the notarial wording, and fill in my information and where to put a stamp, and try to always stamp in a blank area. That's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.